And finally, it's the glittering new addition to the Las Vegas skyline.
Well, I was enchanted too. I mean, it was awesome. We designed it, we visualized it, and it's so big.
It's one of the newest attractions of the Strip. Concerts have some of the hottest tickets in Vegas, but the company behind the Sphere is reporting big losses. Sphere Entertainment executives reported a $125 million loss and $127 million in revenue for its recent quarter.
What happens when you blow $2.3 billion on a giant glowing ball in the desert? You get Vegas's biggest financial disaster since the 2008 crash. The Sphere was supposed to revolutionize entertainment forever. 2 years later, it's hemorrhaging $500 million annually, while tourists just snap selfies outside and leave. This isn't just another Vegas flop story. This is about how Wall Street suits tried to engineer the perfect Vegas attraction and forgot everything that made this city work. Stick around, because what's happening to the Sphere is happening to all of Vegas, and nobody's talking about it. The $2.3 billion gamble that Vegas lost. Let me break down the most expensive entertainment disaster in Vegas history. And trust me, in a city built on bad bets, that's saying something. Picture this. It's 2018, and James Dolan, the billionaire behind Madison Square Garden, walks into Vegas with a plan so crazy it just might work. He wants to build a 366-foot tall, 516-foot wide, LED-covered orb that'll change entertainment forever. The original budget? Just over $1 billion. The final cost? $2.3 billion. That's more than what they spent building Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play. Here's where it gets wild. They started construction in 2019, promised to open by 2021, then COVID hit and everything went sideways. Construction costs doubled, delays piled up, and by the time they finally opened in September 2023, they'd already burned through more cash than most casinos make in a decade. Opening night looked like pure Vegas magic. U2's residency had people losing their minds over the 16,000 screens and 167,000 speakers. The tech blogs went crazy, calling it the future of live performance. But here's what they didn't tell you. In its first year alone, the Sphere lost $480 million. Not revenue, losses. That's nearly $500 million vanishing faster than your money at a rigged blackjack table. The math is brutal. They've got 18,600 seats, but most shows only fill half. U2 tickets ran $250 to $400, which sounds great until you factor in production costs that would make a Hollywood blockbuster blush. Every single show needs custom 3D content built from scratch. We're talking millions just to create the visuals for one performance, plus artist fees, technical crews, and maintenance that never stops. Unlike every other major venue in Vegas, the Sphere doesn't have a casino attached. No gambling revenue, no hotel rooms, no buffet to squeeze extra cash from tourists. It's purely dependent on ticket sales and that giant LED exterior they rent out for ads. Why the Sphere is bleeding money every single day. You know what costs $1.5 million per month? The Sphere's electricity bill during peak season. And that's just the beginning of this financial nightmare. Let me paint you a picture of what's really happening inside this technological marvel. Everything, and I mean everything, is custom built. The seats? Custom. The speakers? Custom. The software running those massive screens? You guessed it, custom. When something breaks, you can't just run to Home Depot. A single projector costs over $100,000. Annual maintenance runs tens of millions. And here's the kicker. The whole system needs constant calibration by teams of engineers working around the clock. I talk to folks who work there, and they're exhausted. The turnover is insane. Union organizers are raising hell about unpredictable hours and burnout. When Sphere Entertainment celebrated their first anniversary, job listings started disappearing from their website. They're not calling it layoffs, they're calling it streamlining. But when a $2.3 billion venue starts cutting staff after just 2 years, that's not efficiency, that's desperation. The technical issues are constant. Overheating problems, software glitches, calibration nightmares. Every minor hiccup means downtime, and downtime means lost revenue they can't afford. Even when they pack the house, profits are razor thin. The overhead is so massive that selling out barely covers operating costs. They need constant sold-out shows just to break even. But scheduling is a nightmare because every act needs months of custom production. Think about that for a second. They built the most advanced venue on Earth, but it's so advanced that it's practically unusable for regular performances. It's like buying a Ferrari that only runs on rocket fuel. The Vegas tourism crisis nobody's talking about. Here's the dirty secret about the Sphere's failure. It's not just about one overpriced ball in the desert. It's about Vegas dying from the inside out. UNLV just dropped a study showing leisure visitors down 6.5% from last year. That might not sound catastrophic, but in Vegas, small drops create avalanches. The middle-class tourists who built this city, they're gone. Priced out by $30 resort fees, $200 hotel rooms, and $18 beers. Conventions are slower than they've been in years. Airfare to Vegas keeps climbing, while service keeps dropping. The city that used to be America's affordable playground now costs more than a weekend in Manhattan. When you're charging $200 to $400 for Sphere tickets, you're not targeting the guys who used to drive in from California for a weekend. You're targeting the tech bros and trust fund kids. Problem is, there aren't enough of them to fill 18,600 seats every night. The Sphere depends entirely on tourist traffic. Locals sure aren't dropping $400 to see a fancy light show. But tourist spending on entertainment is tanking because they're bleeding money just to eat and sleep. Vegas visitor spending on shows and attractions dropped 8% last year. People are choosing between dinner and entertainment, and dinner's winning. When a city built on excess can't get people to spend excessively, you've got a fundamental problem. The irony is perfect. Vegas casinos spent decades training customers to expect free shows and cheap entertainment to keep them gambling. Now they want those same people to pay premium prices for everything. The social media trap that's killing the Sphere. You've seen the Sphere all over Instagram, right? That giant eyeball staring at you. The emoji faces. The sports logos during big games. Here's the most insane part of this whole story. The Sphere might be the most photographed building in America, but most people taking those photos never go inside. They drive by, snap a pic, post it with #Vegas, and move on. The Exosphere became its own tourist attraction, separate from the actual venue. That's great for Instagram engagement. Terrible for business. The outside LED screen brings in some advertising money from companies like Xbox and Meta, but nowhere near enough to offset those massive losses. It's become a $2.3 billion billboard that people look at for free. This is the trap of modern Vegas. Everything's built for the gram, not for actual experiences. The entire business model assumed people would pay premium prices to go inside after seeing the outside. Instead, tourists treat it like a free attraction. They get their selfie and spend their money at the slots instead. Old Vegas understood something the Sphere's designers didn't. The spectacle was always free because it lured you inside where the real money was made. The Sphere flipped that model and wonders why it's failing. Vegas used to create memories. Now it just creates content. And content doesn't pay the bills when your monthly overhead is $40 million. Wall Street's Vegas takeover is destroying everything. Want to know why the Sphere feels so soulless? Because it was designed by Wall Street MBAs who've never lost a paycheck at a craps table. The executives running Sphere Entertainment live in Manhattan offices. They see Vegas as a market, not a city. They look at spreadsheets, not people. Everything about the Sphere is optimized for maximum profit extraction. The seats are designed for efficiency, not comfort. The pricing is algorithmic, not intuitive. The experience is engineered, not organic. Compare that to old Vegas. Those casinos were built by people who understood gambling, understood risk, understood what makes people feel alive. Steve Wynn didn't run focus groups. He built what felt right. The mob guys who founded this city didn't care about quarterly earnings. They cared about creating an experience so intoxicating you'd empty your wallet willingly. The Sphere is the opposite. It's corporate Vegas at its worst. Sanitized, optimized, and completely disconnected from what makes people actually want to visit. Customer reviews tell the whole story. Half call it life-changing. The other half say it's overpriced corporate garbage. That split isn't about the technology. Everyone agrees the tech is incredible. It's about the soul. or the complete lack of one. The Sphere doesn't make you feel anything except lighter in the wallet. There's no personality, no edge, no danger. It's Vegas, stripped of everything that made Vegas special. The Sphere's desperate expansion plans. When a company announces international expansion while losing $500 million annually, you know they're in trouble. But that's exactly what Sphere Entertainment just did. They're building another Sphere in Abu Dhabi. On paper, it sounds like confidence. In reality, it's a Hail Mary to find new investors and offset catastrophic losses. This is classic Vegas corporate playbook. When one property starts failing, announce a bigger, better one somewhere else. Get new investors excited about the future, while the present burns down. The Abu Dhabi Sphere is their attempt to find deep-pocketed Middle Eastern investors who might bail them out. It's not expansion. It's desperation dressed up as growth. Meanwhile, Sphere Entertainment stock is more volatile than a slot machine. It spiked after opening, crashed when financials came out, and now swings wildly on every earnings report. MSG Networks, one of their subsidiaries, actually warned investors that bankruptcy is on the table if things don't turn around. When a $2.3 billion venue starts mentioning the B word after 2 years, you know the situation is dire. The debt service alone is crushing them. They're paying tens of millions in interest before they even turn the lights on. Every day they don't sell out is another day deeper in the hole. What the Sphere's failure means for Vegas. The Sphere was supposed to represent Vegas's future. Instead, it's becoming a monument to everything wrong with modern Vegas. It's too expensive for regular people, too corporate for Vegas lifers, too dependent on a tourist economy that's fundamentally changing. Vegas is transforming from America's playground into a luxury destination for the global ultra-wealthy. The Sphere is just the most visible symptom of that disease. When Caesars and MGM look at the Sphere's losses, they're learning all the wrong lessons. Not that they should create more accessible entertainment, but that they should squeeze existing customers even harder. Resort fees keep climbing. Parking fees appear everywhere. Table minimums at casinos hit $25, $50, even $100 on regular weeknights. The middle-class tourists who built Vegas are being systematically priced out. And properties like the Sphere accelerate that process. Here's what kills me. The Sphere's technology is genuinely revolutionary. Those 16K screens are incredible. The sound system is unlike anything else on Earth. But they forgot that Vegas was never really about the technology. It was about the feeling, the risk, the possibility, the chance that tonight might change your life. The Sphere offers none of that. Just an expensive light show in a city that used to give those away for free. The real estate disaster following the Sphere's wake. You think the Sphere's problems are isolated? Think again. The commercial real estate around the Sphere is tanking faster than a drunk tourist at a blackjack table. Property values in that Paradise corridor dropped 12% in the last year alone. Here's what's happening. The Sphere was supposed to anchor a whole new entertainment district. Developers bet billions on condos, restaurants, and retail spaces that would feed off Sphere traffic. Now those properties are sitting empty. Restaurant leases are going for 40% below asking price. Retail spaces can't find tenants, even with 6 months free rent. The Venetian Expo Center next door used to book conventions based on Sphere proximity. Now, convention planners see it as a negative because attendees complain about the area's price gouging. Local businesses that invested in Sphere-adjacent locations are getting crushed. A steakhouse owner told me he spent $2 million on renovations, expecting Sphere crowds. His revenue is down 30% because Sphere attendees Uber in and Uber out without exploring the neighborhood. The ripple effects hit residential real estate too. Luxury condos marketed as walking distance to the Sphere can't move units. Developers are offering 2 years of free HOA fees just to close deals. Property tax assessments haven't caught up to reality yet. When they do, the city's going to have a massive budget shortfall. The Sphere was supposed to generate $50 million annually in tax revenue. Current projections show maybe $15 million. That missing $35 million has to come from somewhere. Guess who's going to pay for it? Every homeowner and small business in Clark County. The employee nightmare inside the Sphere. Let me tell you what it's really like working at the Sphere. Because the public face and the employee reality are worlds apart. First off, the scheduling is absolutely insane. You might work 3 16-hour days for a U2 show, then have 2 weeks with no hours at all. No consistency, no stability, no way to plan your life. The technical requirements are brutal. Every show needs specialists who understand proprietary systems that exist nowhere else on Earth. They're training people for jobs that literally don't exist outside this building. Pay sounds good on paper, $25 to $35 an hour for technical positions. But when you're only getting 15 hours one week and 60 the next, good luck paying Vegas rent. The turnover rate is approaching 40% annually. That's double the Vegas hospitality average, and this is supposed to be a premium venue. They can't keep talent because the talent realizes this place is a dead end. Health and safety issues are constant. The LED panels generate so much heat that workers need regular breaks to avoid heat exhaustion. The sound levels during testing can cause permanent hearing damage if you're not careful. Union organizers tried to get better conditions. Management responded by hiring more contractors who don't get benefits. Now, half the workforce is gig workers with zero job security. The irony is thick. They spent $2.3 billion on technology, but won't spend properly on the humans who run it. Classic modern Vegas. All flash, no substance, and definitely no loyalty to workers. Former employees describe a toxic culture. Manhattan executives making decisions about Vegas operations they don't understand. Middle managers caught between impossible corporate demands and ground-level reality. Why the Sphere can't pivot to profitability. Everyone keeps saying the Sphere just needs to pivot to become profitable. Let me explain why that's basically impossible, given how they built this thing. The fundamental architecture is the problem. Every single system is interconnected and proprietary. You can't just throw a regular concert in there without massive modifications. They talked about hosting esports tournaments. Sounds great until you realize the Sphere's screens have a specific refresh rate that doesn't work with competitive gaming. Retrofitting would cost millions. Film premieres were another idea. But the Sphere's aspect ratio doesn't match any standard film format. Movies would need to be specifically remastered, which studios won't pay for. Corporate events could work, except the venue's too big. No company wants to rent 18,600 seats for a keynote speech. And you can't section off parts of the Sphere without ruining the whole experience. They've tried everything. Yoga sessions at sunrise, failed. Educational science shows for schools, too expensive. Virtual reality experiences made people nauseous. The truth nobody wants to admit? The Sphere was designed for exactly one thing: massive, custom-produced spectacles. That's it. It's a $2.3 billion one-trick pony in a city that demands versatility. Even if they could pivot, the debt service would kill any new business model. They're paying roughly $100 million annually just in interest. That's before you turn on a single LED. The coming Sphere bankruptcy and what it means. MSG Networks already whispered the B word to investors. Let me paint you the picture of what Sphere bankruptcy actually looks like. First, understand that this wouldn't be a simple Chapter 11 reorganization. The Sphere's debt is structured across multiple entities with different creditors. It's a financial Jenga tower ready to collapse. When it happens, and insider betting says within 18 months, here's the cascade. Creditors seize the asset. Operations shut down for restructuring. Hundreds of specialized jobs disappear overnight. The building itself becomes a massive problem. You can't just repurpose a giant LED ball. You can't demolish it without spending hundreds of millions. It becomes Vegas's most expensive white elephant. The city would likely have to step in. Public funds bailing out a private failure. Tax dollars cleaning up Wall Street's mess while schools need funding and roads need fixing. Property values in the surrounding area would crater. We're talking 30 to 40% drops in commercial real estate value. The Paradise Corridor could become Vegas's next dead zone. But here's the real kicker. The Sphere's failure would signal to every future developer that Vegas's big bet era is over. No more mega projects, no more billion-dollar dreams. The psychological impact would be massive. Vegas sells itself on success, on winning, on dreams coming true. A bankrupt Sphere would be a 366-foot-tall reminder that the house doesn't always win. The Sphere isn't dying because the technology failed. It's dying because Wall Street tried to engineer magic and ended up with an expensive LED ball. Vegas doesn't need more corporate attractions. It needs to remember what made it special before it's too late. What do you think? Is the Sphere worth saving? Drop a comment below and subscribe for more Vegas reality checks.